I want to wrap this up because we got some new stuff to do today. We were looking at do modern, at least Western, males and females follow Bateman's principle. Bateman's principle, of course, goes with the sex that has the higher principal investment is choosier. The sex with the lower principal investment tends to compete. And so we're just looking at various ways in which males appear to be less choosy than females. So if you remember, males reported they would like to have more sexual partners, are more interested in short-term mating, and these sorts of issues. One of my favorite studies in this regard comes from Clark and Hatfield, and I love this study because it's really easy to imagine how to do it here on UAB's campus. So let's imagine you're walking down the street, and just to be going. So you're walking. Crap, I'm going to do a question, but I can't because. All right, you're walking. So I'll just tell you while I'm fixing this. You're walking down the street, and some attractive person of the other gender comes up to you, and they ask you one of three questions. So only one of the three. One question they ask you is, would you like to go on a date? One question you get is, I can't look at anyone when I give these answer choices. One question they ask you is, would you like to go back to my house or apartment? And one is, would you like to go have sex? Right, so you get three questions. You get only one of the three. So imagine you're walking down University Boulevard and you only get one of those three. All right. Do you think there's going to be any kind of sex difference in this data?
Yes.
Like, how is this going to go? Do you think so? What about the date? Do you think there's going to be? Would you like to go on a date? So you think women more say yes? What about just you're walking to university? Would you like to go back to my apartment? Do you think any women are going to say yes?
Is it a stranger?
Yeah, stranger.
Okay.
Oh, some dude you've never met comes up to you.
That's scary.
It is scary, right? Okay, it's scary, but why should any guy say yes to this?
No.
Here were in their original study female responses. About half said yes to the date.
Good women.
What?
Some smart women.
Here's the male data. I did not make up the percentage. That's true. I did not make that up. So males. So here's what's intriguing. Why might males actually be more likely to say yes to these than to the date?
Because the date probably doesn't guarantee sex.
Because the date may not guarantee sex, and so this is all fitting in with Bateman's argument.
Not to mention financing.
Yeah, financing it. All right. Also, I will tell you, more recent research has suggested that these numbers are slightly low. More women, in effect, more women are saying yes to the apartment and sex. So those numbers have actually gone up, and it's worth pointing that out. But they are nowhere near the male levels. The males still say yes way more than the females do. So this still supports Bateman's idea. If you ask males and females how many sexual partners they've had, males tend to, on average, report more sexual partners than females, although a moment's thought makes this sort of problematic because any kind of one-to-one matchup would suggest that males and females should have roughly equals of numbers of sexual partners, but yet males consistently report on average 2 more than females. I don't know who they're having sex with. I suspect they're considering. Males and females actually define sex slightly differently. Males define it in ways that tend to up their numbers. Some other data on Bateman. Around the globe and throughout history, males have been permitted to practice polygyny. That is, males have been permitted to take multiple spouses. Polygyny just means many female. Gyne is that same root for a gynecologist. This actually bothers me about the show Sister Wives, because whenever they call it polygamy, it deeply kind of upsets me. Like, it's not polygamy. Polygamy would imply that they could have more spouses. Women could, but they can't. The show. So they actually practice polygyny. In fact, in one study of cultures, Fort Beach found that 86% of cultures allow for some form of polygyny. There's very few that allow. There's a word for one woman, many men. It's called polyandry. There are very few cultures that allow for polyandry. So this is also taken as some kind of support for Bateman's argument that we find more polygyny than polyandry. But so we start going, okay, there seems to be a lot of support for this argument. There seems to be that females and males do respond in ways consistent with Bateman. But does this suggest that there are innate differences? That is this a home run for Bateman? What do you think? Does this... Case closed. Bateman's right. Females and males innately judge these differently. Okay, so let's do this. On a scale of 1 to 4, or A to D, remember I'm leaving A to, you only get 4 options. How strong do we think Bateman's argument is? Just let you know. So A is it's not at all strong. And D is very. Like this is, it's as strong as any other one we've given. How strong, or how good do we feel about Bateman? Let's go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I have no idea how this is going to go. Start react. As soon as I go over here, it's going to. There it goes. All right, so fairly strong. So y'all like Bateman. There's a great deal of support for him. Keep this in the back of your mind because I'm going to be continuing to ask my question about Bateman as we go through this. Now, there are some peculiarities in humans. And I have this wonderful song, Shake Your Tail Feather. I'm not going to sing it for y'all.
Oh my gosh.
Bringing back some memories. Did you pay for this one or steal it? It was a #1 song by Nellie P. Dilly and Murphy Lee, Shake Your Tail Feather. But there's something quite perplexing about this song.
Because the men usually have like the decorative.
Because the men usually have the decorative things, right? The peacock has it. I don't know why, I'm an old man, but whenever I see Halloween peacock costumes for women, it deeply bothers me. Because I'm like, what is this cross-species, cross-genderness going on here? I'm like, God, y'all don't have tail feathers. I do. I see the Halloween peacock costumes and I go, no, no, no. I'm saying it now. I've never actually seen someone in person wearing one. If I did, I would go, do you know this is cross-species and cross-gender? It's an abomination.
I think you should next time.
If I ever see someone wear it on Friday, see what I do. Right? But, so this gives rise to a problem. This is perplexing. Because y'all voted, y'all thought, okay, cross cultures, or so y'all think that females are the more attractive sex. I'll give extra credit if y'all can find cross-cultural research on that question, right? Because I know that it's not a universal. Like ancient Greek society very often idealized the male form, not the female form. It took a long time to idealize the female form. But we do have this question about why are females giving the ornamentation? It's perplexing. Y'all liked Bateman, right? Y'all thought Bateman was good, but this is a massive perplexity.
But like since the beginning, haven't like female deities have always had ornamentation being worshipped?
Yeah, which sort of makes us go, if female deities have always had the ornamentation, why the females? Like if every other thing we're going down the line and going, Bateman predicts this, Bateman predicts this, Bateman predicts this. this seems to me a glaring human exception to Bateman's principle that deserves some kind of explanation. Why is it the females who are expected in our culture, for example, to wear the makeup, to wear the clothing? You know, the discussion we had before class about the multiple different kinds of dresses, right? So it's like males don't really have that much complexity in these regards, and it deserves an explanation. So, all right. So, okay, that's one issue. Well, okay, we've looked at Bateman. We've seen sort of some arguments for Bateman. Now I want to introduce you, because the two chapters that I'm doing in your text are the gender chapter and the family chapter, and I'm merging them into one glommed chapter. And so we want to look and go, okay, well, what if I'm trying to predict what the sexes are looking for? And one of the best studies in this regard was done by a man named David Buss, who did a nice cross-cultural study to find what people are looking for in a spouse. And the argument for Buss, and Buss is very explicit about his argument, he's an evolutionary psychologist, he says, well, you know what? If I find something across cultures and through history, it's much more likely to have this evolutionary Bateman-based explanation. So this is his argument. He's looking for support for an evolutionary-based explanation. So we're going to see what he finds. And David Buss, he is the classic study in this area. It's worth knowing him, knowing what he did. So I'm going to give you the essence of David Buss's study. It doesn't appear in your text, so we got to see what he's going to argue here. In 1990, so you can see it's already a little dated, Buss and his colleagues interviewed 10,000 people across the globe in 33 different cultures. Now, if you've read a number of psych articles, you know 10,000 is way more than anyone else does, right? Psych articles tend to have 50, 100 people. So he's all over the place. All cultures around the globe, Africa, South America, North America, Europe, Asia, all over the globe, 10,000 people. And what he did was very simple. It's a marvel in simplicity. He asked people to rate on a scale from 0 to 3, it's a very simple scale, we can do this in the class, the relative importance of different traits. So I'll give you an idea of a Bussian type study. So I don't want that next one to come in. So if I were to say, so I'm going to divide this up by sex, because David Buss is really interested in sex differences. If I were to say how important on a scale of A to D, how important are good looks in a mate? So if I were to say A, not at all, and D is indispensable, right? So indispensable. Males, what would you say to this question? How important are good looks in a mate? So males first, females, you're going to get the same question here in about 2 seconds. And it's anonymous, so I'm not going to call you out and go, what a shallow bastard, or, you know, I'm not going to do it. It's all anonymous. I have infinitely better things to do. Female, same question. How important are good looks in a mate? And it's anonymous. You can answer your choice. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Obviously, we're not going to be able to do any statistical analysis on these numbers because they're too small. But what Buss is really interested in is if there are any sex differences. Obviously, we would have to do an analysis here, but this even look. It's actually, if we ignore this, a lot of females. A lot of females say it's very, very important, so it's not 100%, but on average, no surprise, we find that males tend to rate this as more important.